Since the African Democratic Congress, ADC, became the official platform for the opposition coalition, many have praised the resurgence of the party as the main opposition to challenge the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. However, there have been internal issues within the party, as some disgruntled old members are not in support of the decision to hand over the party to the opposition coalition, which has adopted the party as a special purpose vehicle to challenge the APC. Joining us now on this show to discuss the looming threat by original stakeholders of ADC who are threatening legal action to challenge the takeover of the party, Professor Tukur Mohammed-Baba, Publicity Secretary, Arewa Consultative Forum. He will also discuss whether the jostling among Atiku, Peter Obi, Rotimi Amici, El-Rufai, Amalami, over who gets the party's ticket and the zone to produce the next president in 2027 will not lead to an implosion of the party. Good morning, Professor Mohammed-Baba, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, Prof, well, just simple question. Your thoughts about the coalition, the brewing crisis within the ADC, and also whether you think that this coalition will implode.
Simple question, simple answer. Things are still unfolding. We are not sure. This is just the beginning. There is a lot more to come, but it's not surprising given the nature, one, of our politics, two, the nature of the people, of the persons and personalities allegedly behind the coalition. This is expected. I think it's normal, but more will come with time. No. If I am to give you a simple, direct answer, in my opinion.
No, your response is too simple. You know, I'm asking you, there are persons who are saying that, look, these are strange bedfellows who cannot work together. And then within the ADC itself, you have Kachiku, Jumebi Kachiku, saying that, and others, let me not say he alone, saying that Rafu Kenwosu has no authority to admit people into the party without, other stakeholders having a say in this matter. And do you think, as some people have been saying, that the APC has already moved into this coalition to sabotage it from within? Those are the specific issues.
Again, if I can address your very last question, it is possible that the APC has moved into the party to carry out a surgical operation. It's possible. This is politics, and we're gearing towards political campaigns. And I wouldn't say it's a fair game, but this is part of the process. One, but we need to go back in history. Coalitions are not new in our country, not to speak of other places in the world. Right from the First Republic, coalitions have been somewhat a characteristic of the political process. But of course, in recent times, and I want to go as far back as 2011, 2015, 2023 to date, forms and types of coalitions have been tried, and so on, some successfully, others without success. Now, to come back to this, the emergence of this new coalition under the umbrella of the ADC, it's again not surprising. For the last few months, some of the key promoters of this coalition have been jumping from one party to another. In fact, even before then, if you take any of the individuals prominent in the coalition, you will see they have moved from parties to parties for the last maybe 16 years. So it's not surprising, that's one. The seeming crisis that is emerging is also not surprising. It has happened to the SDP only a few weeks ago, and now it has moved to the ADC. Again, this is not surprising. The thing to ask is, what is the basis of the coalition? What are they trying to achieve? We know that one is to unseat the current government, the current regime. Fair enough. This is politics, and the democracy we practice with all whats and stuff calls for that. So, but of course there are interests in all the parties, those who promote the parties, those who join the coalition, and so on. And these are not necessarily congruent. So there is bound to be some acrimony. There is bound to be trading of interests and so on. Probably you will say that what is disappointing is up to now we are talking of personalities. Nobody is talking of ideology, and we know that all the parties in Nigeria, nearly all of them, except maybe one or two, the whole ideology is liberal democracy and neoliberalism, economic policies, and so on. There isn't much ideological differences. They're all the same bedfellows. It is, but I would have expected by now that the coalition would start with a program, would tell us what they need to do, what will be different, and how they intend to be different. But when you start talking of persons and so on, it's a bit of a letdown. And, you know, you ask yourself, when are we going to get it?
Absolutely. And I'd like for us to get into a little bit more detail with regards to these allegations that the APC is trying to infiltrate, because the coalition has raised the alarm and said, in fact, it's the Northeast and Northwest leaders in various capacities associated with the ADC who have been invited to covert meetings with government officials under the guise of peace building. But the truth is that these are meetings set to coerce these people into to leaving the ADC. These are the allegations that are flying around. Can you speak to any of this? Have you heard any of these instances? You know, what are the details around it?
Oh, yes. I mean, if you talk, let's use the term coalition. If you are talking of that, this coercion, rather, to get people to either drop their ambitions or go to the APC, it's been going on in various forms for the last, I would say, 1 year. People are being coerced to leave their parties. That is part of it. People are being persuaded, whatever that involves, to leave their parties. And I've seen a lot of that going on and so on, whether as individuals or regional blocs and so on. There are allegations that one of the major parties, the PDP, for example, has been devastated by an individual who refused to leave the party and is there. So these allegations have been there. And of course, I have spoken to people who say the party is dead on arrival. Why? Because the ruling party will pull out all the stops to ensure that the disarray, disorganization, and conflict ensures in the new party, so that it will not recognize itself. But I've also spoken to others who are very confident, people who are pro-coalition. They are also just as determined to ensure that they wither the storms, so to speak. So you and I probably are jumping the gun. Things are unfolding. And over the next few weeks, we will see more and more. I personally think it will be, maybe by the end of the year, things will take shape. But the allegations are there, and honestly, not that I support it, but I don't expect the ruling party to sit down, fold its arms, and not try to engineer internal dissension within the new opposition, given the personalities behind it, given their utterances that destroying or dislodging the APC from governance is a task that must be done. We know utterances such as by Arewa that he wants to correct, use this opportunity to correct the mistake of 2023. These are my words, not his own.
Okay. My question for you is very simple and straightforward, Prof. Where do you think the candidate...
Okay, you are coming with simple questions again. And when I give one, you say the answer is too simple.
Okay. No, mine is very simple, Prof. Very simple. Where do you think the candidates of the ADC should come from? The north or the south?
If you ask me personally, I don't care. I think we're wasting too much time, too much energy in this country, not allowing this democracy to take root by insisting that a presidential candidate must come from one region or another, one party or another. If you ask me personally, I would prefer that at the helm of affairs, we go for the very best, who has an agenda for a united, strong, economically viable Nigerian state. Personally, I think all this idea of where the president should come from or the candidate should come from is a distraction, because then we don't look for ingredients of good leadership in that person. The whole thing begins and ends with where the presidential candidate should come. And I think, honestly, the nation's time is being wasted by these politics. I think by now, I would have preferred to see that we are beyond that. We look for not where people come from, but what they have to deliver. We have tried this regional stuff a number of times. In the last, let me say, in the last 8 years, it has yielded nothing but bitter disappointment for the ordinary citizen in this country. We insist on people, they come in and it's a disappointment. 2015, we went through this. There was an election with mass appeal. In fact, so the leading candidate had a cult followership. Within 6 months, it was clear. It became clear that that was a monumental mistake. And that carried on until the end, until 2023. And then we began again.
Prof, would you respect? You?
Yes,
You're talking idealism. But you know ideals do not work in Nigerian politics. With due respect, if I am to say ideally, I subscribe to what you said. In fact, I'd even go further by saying competence. Educational, economic, cognitive competence. I would even say also part of the competence should be drug tests above board. So let's even see if any drug or any extra matter is affecting their cognitive competence. But that's ideals. But you and I know the country doesn't work on that. Since the 1960s, since we gained independence, let me even date back since 1914, since when the amalgamation happened. Let me even date back since 1906, thereabout, when the first amalgamation happened of the Southern Protectorate, before the amalgamation with the Northern Protectorate happened in 1914. Where you are from has always heralded our politics and our politicking process, even when we had a regional government. Yes, you can say it's been a colossal misfortune getting leaders through that way, but that's always the case. It will be power swinging to the north. People will now make argument for power to swing to the south afterward to be able to keep a level of balance and fairness. People that distort that octet, they are called aberrations. Like in the case of Jonathan, where Umar Musa Yar'Adua did die, and somebody from the south had to step in. We even do it so much with our political party ticket. Once you have a presidential candidate from the north, you must have a vice presidential candidate from the south. Once you have a presidential candidate from the south, the vice presidential candidate from the north. And that's why I asked this question, because as we speak, the fact on ground is the question I asked you is dividing the ADC. And if the ADC will fail, that will be the reason. A lot of people feel the zeitgeist of the nation will be a southern presidency. A lot of people also feel that the north should be able to make a big inroad, and this is the time for them. Some feel that when you cut short this presidency and you bring in a northern candidate, in a case where another candidate wins, it's going to be an aberration to the south. That's the permutation on ground, and that's why I asked the question. So let's leave the toga of idealism now. Let's talk about the reality permutation. And I'll ask that question again. Where would you want the presidential candidate to come from?
If you want my personal opinion, you are not getting it. Short and simple. I live on idealism, and idealism is hope. And I always am hopeful, no matter what the situation. Look, it's not all about me, okay? It's about the nation. As far as I'm concerned, if you are trying to put me in a pigeonhole, my pigeonhole is Nigeria. My pigeonhole is someone who will deliver the dividends of the democracy. My vision is for one who will care about the future of our children. Look, I was hopeful, maybe naively so, in 2023, that some of the aberrations of the Buhari administration will be corrected and that will be put back on the path of national unity, national cohesion, and so, but that's not what we are seeing.
Prof.
And I'm not here. Who will decide, the persons who will decide who will rule are the electorate, and I'm only one of maybe
Prof.
100 million. I cannot impose my view on that.
Prof.
Yes, please.
I got your point. Let the electorate decide. But do you think that this
Exactly.
coalition, in terms of their goal, they say they want to get APC out of power, they want to remove Tinubu out of power. That's clear enough. Even if some people say, well, they have no ideologies, they have no alternatives, this is a hatred for Tinubu. But do you think they can succeed in terms of your assessment of the coalition itself and, their strategic projections?
My read for now, given the little evidence that we have from the coalition, is that, to me personally, it's a bit of a disappointment. One, I have not seen a coherent statement of what they intend to do. Second, I am disturbed by the emphasis on personalities. Who is going to be president, to be paired with who is going to be the national, the president of the Senate, who is going to be the secretary to the federal government. And I said, it gave me a sense of deja vu. We have been there before. We are going back to square one again. Is it all about personalities, or is it going to be about the future of Nigeria, and of course how to get out of the many quagmires we have? If indeed the emphasis is on personalities, all those personalities, or rather nearly all the personalities in the coalition, have serious baggages. And in order for them to convince Nigerians, they have to bend over backwards and say something different. If it is all about personalities, I think they are dead on arrival. If they can present a coherent policy program and tell us, convince us how to change, or how to, one, restore national institutions that have been captured, if they can revitalize the economy, if they can promote inclusion, rather than what we have these people going with their own. So I don't see anything. So if that is the case, honestly, talking to people, I've talked to many people who are bitterly disappointed that we are not seeing what we should see. That is to say, a program to get back to Nigeria rather than to allow it to be captured, as is happening now.
So, Prof, does this mean that for now the Arewa Consultative Forum is not aligned with the coalition?
No, I'm not speaking for the Arewa Consultative Forum. I'm speaking for myself as an analyst. That's one. The Arewa Consultative Forum has always been a non-partisan organization. It's a socio-cultural group of persons. Now, the other thing is also that we have not met. We have not taken a decision on this. So I'm not speaking for the ACF. Let me make this very clear. In order to be able to take a position on that, we need to meet, we need to discuss. But like I said, historically, we have never been clearly for any party. We have been for Nigeria, and within Nigeria, groups in the country. So this is the position. The ACF has not met and is not likely to endorse any tendency, because it's an amalgamation of many interests We have people of different political interests, different political inclinations, and like happened in the process leading up to 2023, the ACF invited all the major political parties, provided a platform for them to explain what they have for the country. So some appeared. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu then appeared. Peter Obi appeared, and some refused. So the ACF does not and will not take a definite position for and against anybody. We are for or against policies that will be put on ground.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Mohammed-Baba, for joining us on The Morning Show.